What up, man? This your boy David Lucas, man. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I got my good friend with me, Brian Redban. Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? It's been a long time since we did anything on camera. Well, I mean, he killed Tony, but
right.
We used to see each other every week during the pandemic, filming Brothers in Cursive.
Yeah.
Dang, bro.
During the dark days of William Montgomery.
The dark day. Man, I was just thinking, like, imagine if we had a sober William for Brothers in Cursive.
We'd be number one.
We'd be the biggest podcast. We'd be competing with Kill Tony.
Yeah. That was hard to deal with because we would film those things, like at noon?
Yeah.
And he would come already wasted.
Man, I like the new Will a lot, man. He's clear, more focused, and you don't get the same thing said 30 times in a row, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we kind of still get the same thing.
Yeah.
He still screams the same stuff.
Like, it would be funny for like the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then when you like 45 minutes into an episode, you're like, Will. Like, you know, a lot of people just saw what they saw on camera, but it's like me and Redban saw everything.
What was there was one episode that was embarrassing for us.
Erik Griffin.
Erik Griffin.
That's
Griffin.
Right. I almost quit that day. That was the day I almost quit Brothers in Cursive. I was like, this is gonna be so short-lived. And it's so crazy about the name Brothers in Cursive because we came up with that name when we were doing Kill Tony in San Francisco. Yeah, Kill Tony Mania.
Yeah, and wasn't it like Joelberg or something like that said?
Yeah.
Like he was saying brothers in cursive, like writing out the name brothers.
But we're like, no, it's going to be brothers in cursive, but written regular. Yeah. only in the Kill Tony world with people like with my background, your background, and William's background be put together. It's so crazy, man. Kill Tony bring people together.
Right.
And it's a better form system than SNL. Kill Tony's the new Groundlings.
Yeah.
It's like if you touch Kill Tony and you know what you're doing, because I mean you come from a great background. Like you helped launch the Joe Rogan podcast. Like you pretty much invented podcasting, bro. Like nobody was even doing that back then.
Well, especially for like open micers and new comedians. I mean, it used to be back in the day like what Johnny Carson. That would be getting on Johnny Carson or getting on the Tonight Show. Now it's like getting on Rogan is pretty much the new thing.
Bro.
And getting on Kill Tony is probably a big thing for open micers.
I say getting on, well, 0.01% of open micers will end up on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right.
That's probably a real statistic. Like
probably is.
I'm good friends with Joe, and I've yet to be on his podcast. But it's so crazy, man. He asked me he's like, "Are you here tomorrow?" I'm like, "Bro, I got kids in LA, man." Like, he's like, "Oh man, I was gonna get you on the pod." I'm like,
that's when he said, "Yes, I'm here tomorrow." What kids?
I had already told All Def I would shoot with them, and I try to be a man of my word, even though because I'm like, all right, he'll have a spot for me eventually. So, yeah, bro, you still fill in sometimes over there?
Yeah, I mean, okay, whenever I need to, hopefully Jamie gets COVID again. No, honestly, when I was doing that for 2 weeks, I was lucky, when Jamie had COVID, before we had moved here, I got to do Kanye for Kanye,
I remember that,
and a few others. And I immediately remembered how much work that was. Poor Jamie. Some weeks we were doing like 4 or 5 episodes a week, each episode like 3 to 4 hours, and then I had to edit all that stuff. So now that not doing that, I mean, it's just so much more relaxing just doing one Kill Tony a week.
Like, bro, like I realize, like I go back and I watch like old Brothers in Cursive episodes, and you don't really realize like the genius behind it or how much it takes to do that stuff, to like control the audio live and then switching cameras live, pulling up videos live, having sound effects. Like even when you do the Kill Tony sound effects, I'm like, how does he have it right there so fast? I'm like, it's like you and Tony. Like with Tony, people would almost swear like me and him have like some type of script written out because of like how fast he comes with comebacks and like how fast I come with comebacks. And you would almost think, but it's impossible for the bucket pulls for you to have like a list of sounds, but you'll just see the fingers over there moving, and before you even know it, a sound's coming out of the speaker.
A lot of times I'll just see the person walk up and I'll be like, immediately something comes up like, I got to pull this sound effect up, or look at that guy's shoes or something like that, I used to actually be better at it because we had better they changed something on the iPad to make it slower.
Oh,
so
gotcha,
like
gotcha.
pulling up the songs takes slower. It's a little slower now for some reason. But
The first woman that was a regular on Kill Tony just killed herself.
yeah, Sarah Mencia-Rogan. Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah. She was good looking, man. I remember her from around the store.
She was cool. I was really close to her, you know, when that before Kill Tony. She was always really nice. Like I remember one time, this is how big of a nerd I am. I think it was like iPhone, let's just say 5, and it was being released at 8 in the morning, you know. And I had said that I'm going to go out there at like 3 in the morning and line up for an iPhone. And she goes, "I'll come with you." I mean, she wasn't getting an iPhone. She just hung out with me for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. Like we were pretty close. And then, you know, recently she had just kind of disappeared.
Right. I know she did Robot Chicken last year or something.
She did Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
She's done a few different things, a lot of video game stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's a very sad loss.
A lot of comedians are depressed as hell, man, like our buddy Brody, bro. Like, for someone, and you never know what happens to somebody when they go home, man, and you never know what their home life is like. You never know what they're dealing with. And that's why I try to have, like, especially a lot of empathy to comedians. And it's like, when I see comedians that are always smiling, always happy, like, I'll just make sure I reach out to them a lot, because it's like, it's almost impossible to put up that front all the time. Like, something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very weird too, because I was just talking about this when Sarah died to my girlfriend. I was like, you know, we've been dating for like 5 years, and you've probably known about 30 people that I know that have died, which is unheard of in 5 years, like any other career, except maybe police, not even that probably. But, and it's just, well, one, because the family's so strong and big, comedians are all, pretty much family together.
Right.
But also just because the mental illness runs in the comedy, comics blood.
People don't realize how dark you got to be funny. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it don't come from a happy place.
Right. Yeah.
And we didn't have good childhoods.
Right.
So it's like we got a lot of effed up things in our brain, and you know, like I suffer from anxiety and panic attacks, and when I'm on stage, nothing can bother me. Mm-hmm. Nothing at all. It's like when my granddaddy died. When I was working at the Comedy Store, I had a door guy spot before the main room show, and what's his name? I can't even think of his name right now. Italian from Ohio, Richie. Richie was like, "You still want to do your spot?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have to get on stage."
Yeah.
Like, I have to get on stage.
It's weird. I used to have really bad anxiety and panic attacks also. When I turned 40, they just went away.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like there was a point where sometimes where I couldn't smoke weed because it would just
too paranoid.
It would just make me have a panic attack and stuff like that.
That's
now
why I quit.
It's kind of just all gone.
That's why I quit, bro. And you know, it might be because of a change of environment. You out here in Austin now.
Yeah, it's a lot more chill out here.
and what's crazy about it, bro, is and I never believed Redban when he was saying when we were on Brothers in Cursive, you'll be like, LA's going to shit. And I'm like, nah. He's like, LA's going to shit. I'm like, nah. I love LA. Like, I've been there since I was a teenager, man.
Right.
So it's like all I know. My kids live there. I've developed so many relationships there, especially at the comedy clubs. And you were like, man, it's going to shit. And then you moved out here, and I came out here. And I would live in Austin if my kids would move with me, but it's like they live in LA, so I always got to have a foot in LA, unfortunately, man.
And it's, you know, I miss LA. I still love LA, but you know, it just got really sad, especially where I lived in Burbank, which was like the, you know, cleanest, zero crime. Now it's like completely different.
It's illegal to smoke cigarettes on the street in Burbank.
I used to tell people, like, if I got caught with a cigarette, I'd just say it's weed.
Right.
But no, and I'll still follow like the news. I'll still watch, you know, read all the stuff that's going on in LA. And it's crazy. Like they just said yesterday that they're going to close down a Walgreens in Woodland Hills, which Woodland Hills isn't really known for being that crazy either, because of crime. They were getting robbed too much. People would just come in there and take baskets full of stuff and walk out the front door. You know, it's
that district attorney we got, bro. Like, I remember this was recent. A dude was doing like a string of armed robberies, and he got caught, and he had no bail.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, he had a no money bail or whatever it is.
They don't hold him.
It's like, what?
There was somebody a few months ago in LA that got arrested, I think 5 times. and ended up like
Killing somebody,
yes, like killing somebody at the end.
Yeah.
But that person was released 5 different times in the same day.
Yeah. If you're arrested 5 times.
How about 3 times in a day, 2 times in a day?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think one of the times he was arrested was like in Burbank or Glendale. I remember seeing that crazy guy.
Yeah.
And he ended up killing somebody.
Yep. Yeah.
And I just hope that everybody, you know, in Texas, you have to have a gun to live here. I feel
Right.
but I just hope, you know, more citizens start arming themselves in LA. I definitely arm myself.
Yeah.
When I'm with my kids, I especially make sure I'm carrying, and you know how I feel. You know, I'm still waiting on my concealed carry permit, and how I feel is like I'll just take whatever repercussions come with it.
Mm-hmm.
Me being in jail I mean, would they really put me in jail? You letting people, you know, stick people up with a gun,
Right. For just having a gun.
right?
Yeah.
And it's illegal.
I guess the only negative would be is if there's like, you know, with the gun laws, it's weird. Like, if you get in trouble for doing that, then you might not be able to get a gun.
Right,
you know,
right.
I think they even have I don't know if it's LA or everywhere. Like, if you get even like a ticket for having possession of marijuana, you're not allowed to have a gun or something crazy like that. I heard the other day.
LA is one of those cities, man, and I say this all the time, bro. Like, big metro areas like LA, New York, Atlanta, Detroit, Miami, Chicago, you can't be like, you can't have like a liberal mindset and run those cities. Like when we had Vera Ragosa, who everybody knows was crooked and a criminal, there was nothing going on in LA. He didn't play any of that. But I feel like that's the type of people you need to run a city like that. It's too corrupt.
Yeah.
You need somebody who people fear.
Right.
Like
right. Yeah, like
bro.
an ex-gang leader or something.
Something. Bro, like we need Batman at this point in LA,
Right.
bro. It is.
Well, actually, they just probably need the big earthquake.
Yeah.
Put some fear of God into them.
Yeah. Something. Do you ever think you'll move back to LA?
No, not move. Maybe have an apartment there in the future, you know, and go there once in a while. But like, I was even looking today. I was looking at my old hood and just looking at prices, and it was the average. Yeah, 1-bedroom apartment is $4,200 on average a month. A 1-bedroom apartment, which is $1,500 more a month than my mortgage for a 4-bedroom house, giant.
Yeah,
house.
I just got some land in Georgia, man, and I'm trying to make some more money so I can entice my daughter's mom with the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I got you a house.
Right.
You don't got to worry about no mortgage. I don't want my kids to grow up in LA.
Right.
I
I think for families, that's the worst place. You know, like I get it. You're in the business, you're comedy, acting, something like that. Sure, you know, I would recommend LA for a bit.
Right.
But
I'll always keep like a studio apartment there.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll always
like we have a lot of our friends with kids now, and I'm like, why? Like, get out of there.
Right. None of them really live in LA. Like all of our comedic buddies that have children, they live in like Thousand Oaks, more up north, to where you really can't do anything because it's one way in, one way out.
Right.
So it's like you're gonna be riding on the street for 30 minutes, and we got the description of your car, and you can't get off on any exit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really got to get to like, for crime not to touch you in LA, you really got to get to like Thousand Oaks. Mm-hmm. Thousand Oaks, man.
Yeah, I used to live up there in Calabasas, and it was nice. But driving that drive
to
to
the airport, bro.
to airport. Oh God, that airport drive.
Like I live in West Hollywood, and my drive with traffic is 41 minutes. No traffic, 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So like I can imagine Calabasas. You talking about an hour and 40 minutes with traffic.
Yeah.
Will Kill Tony come back and do a set at the main room?
I think so.
I hope so.
I think we even hinted at it a couple months ago. About doing it.
I think LA needs that.
I think that's probably where we would probably do like the Kill Tony Mania, the next one or something like that.
I loved when Rogan came back to the comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like the Comedy Store needed that because like honestly, bro, it might be like 5 to 10 years. Because bro, when I got on Kill Tony, when I started being a door guy, I feel like you couldn't get any bigger than that.
Right.
It was 280 people on the patio, 400 people in the main room for Kill Tony, 300 people in the original room, 120 people in the belly room, 40 to 50 people hanging out in the parking lot, in the back alley, and multiple people outside trying to get in tickets. It's like, how do you get bigger than that?
Yeah, I mean, I said when I lived there, I saw that happen twice,
Right.
where it went from that to dead.
From the time Rogan left and came back.
Yeah. After the Mencia thing, it got pretty.
Because you recorded that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you recorded the Mencia thing. A lot of people don't. I mean, I remember. What was that, like 07, 08?
2007. Yeah.
I remember watching that in high school, man, because I knew Carlos Mencia from Mind the Mencia.
Yeah.
And I only knew Rogan at the time from Fear Factor.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is Fear Factor guy, picking on?
Right. Yeah, that was the beginning of a lot of life-changing events with me and Rogan. That thing was crazy because I filmed it, went home, edited it all night till about like 8 in the morning, uploaded it, and then went to sleep, and then woke up and had already had like millions of hits and people like trying to contact for interviews and stuff like that.
How long was the upload then?
That was one of those things where I uploaded and went to bed, and that would have taken me, it probably would have been 4 hours.
Dang. I was on some bad Wi-Fi, and it reminded me of being a kid, like when I used to have LimeWire, and you were trying to download an album, and I had dial-up, so it'd be like, 1 day and 23 hours.
Right.
But I was trying to upload a video on YouTube, and it took me like 2 weeks, and I'm like, damn, this internet is bad.
Yeah, and the worst is like you'd be downloading I remember trying to download like the Paris Hilton sex tape or something, and then you get it, and it's just like an episode of like DuckTales, and you're like, what the fuck? And you just spent like 3 days of your internet trying to, in your minutes. Remember you used to have minutes?
Yes.
Like, I got 50 minutes this month.
Yeah, bro. I remember when we had dial-up internet, because I think we got DSL, what was digital subscriber line? I think we got DSL like when I was in 9th or 10th. Isn't that what it stands for?
No.
What it stand for?
Let's just keep it that.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, it's duck sucking lips.
No, DSL internet.
I know. What'd you call it again?
I thought it was digital
satellite link. There you go.
Oh, I thought it was, what did I say?
Digital subscription line.
I thought it was like digital subscriber line.
That's hilarious.
When I got DSL, and I think we got DSL when I was like in the 9th or 10th grade, but I remember having that dial-up internet like in 6th grade, and my mom made it where I had to have this thing where to tell you if somebody was calling, and you had to press like answer, and you'd be doing something, you're like, God.
Yeah.
You gotta go over that process again.
Fucking annoying. Technology is so different now.
Have you seen Carlos Mencia since that?
Yeah. When I do a show called Secret Show here,
Right.
and I used to do it at the Ice House.
Right.
And he, one time, about 3 years ago, was in the other room, and he tried to put his openers on my show. And I said, they go, hey, Carlos is putting 2 people on your Secret Show. I'm like, no, he's not. And he's like, we have to. I'm like, no, he's not doing that. And then he got really fucking pissed off. And he kind of like, when I was on stage, I saw him like pop his head into the little room, just stare at me. And I was about to say something like, get the fuck out of here or something. But what was so funny about that is that I asked the sound guy at the time, and he watched all of Mencia's bits, and I was like, so did it seem like he was stealing still? And he goes, absolutely. He started off with a Tosh bit right at the beginning, and I was just like, wow, he's still doing it. And what the most, I mean, I feel bad for him at this point, now I don't care. But one of the most depressing things, if I ever see like a comedy club like post a photo like Mencia here all this weekend, I always go to the comments, and it's always like 20 comments going like, fuck this guy's thief, It's like there's never ever a person going, wow, I can't wait to see him, got our ticks.
Right. I actually know one of his openers. He's a good buddy of mine, and I told him, I said, bro, you need to get away from that guy.
I bet your buddy has a story or two about him taking from him.
he probably won't tell it.
Right.
He loyal to him.
Right.
But I'm like, dog, if you ever want to be a big comic or you can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even post it on my Instagram that I'm Carlos Mencia's opening.
Right. That's like, that's horrible for your career.
Right. And I hear people say that he's funny, but I guess it's easy to be funny when you're still in,
Right.
chunks of material.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like I believe in parallel thinking, and you know, especially when it's like a basic premise, like multiple comedians can have that. Like the joke about the wall, D.L. Hughley did it,
Right.
Carlos did
Ari
it,
did
Ari
it.
did, yeah. So it's like, you know, I hear jokes. I hear jokes sometimes that comedians I know have that I've heard before, and I'm like, nah.
But then you hear Mencia do the famous Bill Cosby football joke with the son or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, that's nowhere close to parallel thinking.
Right.
That's like a complete ripoff of one of the most famous jokes ever. You know.
Like I understand, not saying that I understand, but I see why comedians back in the day, like Robin Williams was stealing because he had to do a new 5 minutes like every week.
But do you hear what he did? He used to pay for it.
Oh, that's how you should do it.
Yeah, he would like steal and then write a check to the person he stole it from.
Oh yeah, that's how you should do it.
I mean, I'm sure the comic at the time was like, "Well, I don't really want you to steal it, but you know, I need $1,000."
Right.
So
You would have caught me 5 years ago. You could have bought all my jokes
right.
for $1,500.
Yeah.
You could have bought every single last one of my jokes for $1,500. But now,
Yeah.
nah, not at all, man. You still touring with Tom Green?
No, Tom hasn't toured since the pandemic. Like that was the last. I think maybe like the weekend, before everything closed down.
Okay.
That was the last show I did with Tom, and then he ended up moving up to Canada in the middle of nowhere. He's grown his beard out. He's like become a wilderness guy. But I don't know if when he's going back on tour. But I would love to do that again. He's a great person to open with because. I grew up watching Tom Green on TV and shit like that, and I've always admired him, and so it was really cool working with him. But yeah, I would love to do that again, definitely.
Yeah, man. Did you and Tony cook up Kill Tony together? Like,
yeah, I mean, he had the basic premise of it. Like, he wanted to do a bucket pool thing. I had been doing a podcast called The Secret Show. And what it was usually two guests and me and a co-host. And it was very Kill Tony-esque, but because it was like just kind of like a panel show.
Right.
But we had like an artist that drew every episode.
Oh, nice.
And we had little elements of Kill Tony.
Right.
And so my co-host at the time was just drinking too much, and I was like, you know what, I'm just tired of dealing with this.
Right.
And Tony goes, hey, you know, because I still had my spot Monday at 8 o'clock in the belly room. And Tony's like, hey, can we try my idea? And I'm like, sure. And so we pretty much just put our ideas together. And then, you know, just over time, it's grown, like little pieces have grown from there and that and stuff like
big,
that.
huge, man. It's huge now.
Yeah.
And definitely moving for people, you know, that are in Austin, when Kill Tony first came, it was at Anton's. And moving from Anton's to the Vulcan.
Night and day difference,
bro.
Man. Energy, and you can actually see it in the recordings. You know, like if you watch, it's so much more electric.
Yeah, I feel like Anton's is very formal.
Yeah, it was very tight,
it
was less seats because they were, you know, even at the time near the end, like they still had like seats spread out everywhere, so it was just kind of like an empty room with.
Yeah, you could only get like 90 people in back then.
Yeah,
like it was only like 90 people in a room that sat like 300.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of empty pockets.
Yeah.
And then not enough people to fill up the laughter, but you know.
And plus here at Vulcan, you have like the double Fight Club rail, so it kind of feels like you're in an arena.
Right. I love that. I feel like this is how a two-story, well, it wasn't set up to do comedy, but it's perfect because it puts the audience like right here.
Yeah.
It puts it like right here, man. Yeah. Man. Austin probably saved my mental space.
I think it saved us all. I mean, especially those last few episodes before
we were losing it.
Yeah, we were all losing it.
We were all losing it. It was like we were getting cabin fever or something, dog.
Yeah.
Because
no audiences for over a year. You know, half of it was over computers. Like we had people like sending in tapes. Pretty much. Remember that? How bad that was? You know, watching somebody on a monitor.
And I remember we did one episode at your studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I was becoming a real alcoholic during the pandemic, bro. It was.
One thing it did make me do though is it made me appreciate being at home more, and that's something like, you know, when I lived in LA, I was at the Comedy Store 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week sometimes. And now I'm probably out 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
You know, it's I just appreciate. Of course, now it's a house and not a rat-infested apartment.
Right.
You know,
You live at Dave and Buster's. Like Redban's house. How many inches is that screen you got?
140.
See, he got a movie screen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get like Red. I'm trying to have a house. Like Redban got all the newest technology.
I tell you though, I'm finding out the negative parts of buying a house pretty quick though.
What, like roof issues? What?
Well, maintenance. You know, everything you have to do yourself. So like, you know, it's not like call the landlord. But property taxes, you know, people always say Texas has no state tax, and you're like, woo, no state tax. Well, they have pretty high property taxes, and especially if you buy a house that's almost tripled its price in like a year. My property taxes went up 60% more than last year.
Yeah.
I know people that would move because of that. Like I can't even afford my property tax, you know.
Yeah.
That's, you know, so owning a house is...
Us LA folks don't know nothing about home ownership.
No.
I'm just lucky to be paying rent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
and I tried to buy a house in LA.
You need 200,000.
I had saved up about 200,000, and the cheapest thing I could find was over $1 million, and it was like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and it was just crappy, you know.
Yeah, you got to move to like Palmdale or Lancaster to get a house for under 800,000.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is crazy, man. But I mean, if you would have bought that house back then, you'd have been sitting on some nice money now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, bro, I wish I would have had like a mindset when I first moved to LA to get like, back when you could probably, that was what, 2010? Back when you could still probably get a house for 400,000.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first moved to LA, was that 17 years ago? I was the cheapest I could find, because I was going to actually buy a house. I almost bought a condo, and it was $350,000. And I was just couldn't make myself do it. But I looked at that condo the other day. It's like $1.2 million condo, so I should have done it.
Man. Yeah. What brought you to LA?
Rogan hired me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
From
Ohio.
He hired
Columbus,
you all the way
Ohio.
from Ohio?
Yeah, I used to know him online a lot. You know, I used to do his website and do all his message board stuff,
Yeah.
and then he would hire me to do like short videos and stuff, like, you know, go on the road with him and stuff.
Right.
And then he just liked what I was doing so much that one day he goes, "Hey, you want to move to LA and do this full time?" I'm like, yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Where were you working at in Ohio?
This is a great story. I was working at Gateway Computers, and
I remember Gateway.
Yeah.
That's Bill Gates, right?
No. It was like the one with the big cow boxes, and it's like you go to a store and you buy computers. It was like
I remember Gateway though.
Yeah, Gateway Computers. Yeah, they were a big computer company that they're not really around anymore.
Yeah.
But the day Rogan told me he was going to hire me, I was like going to put in my 2-week notice, and I go to the manager and I'm like, "Hey, you know, can we talk for a second?" He goes, "Yeah, actually, we need to talk also." Hey, and we go in there, and he goes, "First, let me just tell you real quick. Gateway's closing all their stores. They're going out of business. So we got the severance package here." And he gives me the severance package. I think it was like $3,000 or something like that. And he goes, "What did you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. I just was..."
I was just thinking we could.
But it was literally the same day that I was going to put my 2-week notice in. And like, that if that wasn't just a sign there, because I mean, I was broke. And Rogan gave me some money to move out, but he also told me to move to Calabasas. That would be the best place to move. And when you're broke, they have an apartment in Calabasas. Yeah. It was.
Bro, like sometimes you get those little things in life that let you know you're on the right path. Because I remember, dog, I had quit comedy when I had my daughter, and this was in 2014. I quit comedy for like 2.5 years, and I was just like working. Because I was like, oh, yeah, I can't just be messing around with this comedy no more because it ain't paying the bills. So I got to get a full-time job, man. Like, take care of my daughter. Like, it was cool before, but now I got a daughter. So I was dating my youngest daughter's mom at the time, and she saw how miserable I was. And she said, so this was, I came back in 2000. No, so I quit into 2000. Because I got on Kill Tony in 2019. So I quit for almost 4 years because I came back at the end of 2018. And I remember for New Year's 2019, She said, I'm going to support you for 1 year, but you have to be out doing comedy 5 nights a week.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. And I said, I bet I will. And then I went and I booked a commercial. I was like, oh shit. Like I booked a commercial like 2 weeks into the new year.
No shit.
And I'm like, damn, like I am supposed to be doing
good.
comedy. And then in April, for the first time in like forever, Adam put me on Family and Friends. And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. And then like a few months later in September, I got on Kill Tony, and I'm like, damn, like, yeah, I'm really supposed to be here. All right, I'm supposed to be a comedian. And that was one of those signs in life where I was like, all right, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that, like with that severance package, man, because
Right.
a lot of people don't know, man, like, you know, you see the glitz and glamour of like, you know, you see it all at Kill Tony when it manifests itself and the room is crowded and it's sold out and you got people lined up outside and you got 100 people trying to put their name in the bucket, but they don't see the belly room with 5 or 10 people in there.
Yeah.
They just see the now.
Right.
And they're like, oh man, Kill Tony blew up overnight. Well, like, no, dude, we've been doing this 12 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, yeah, man, it's always like that. Like I tell people, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for sitting down and talk with me, man.
Buddy.
You know, I can't do your show this week, but the next time I'm in Austin, I'll make sure I do the secret show.
Definitely. Secret show.
And y'all already know Redban, man. Y'all know where to find him, the Pod Father. Y'all know where to find him. All right, man. Appreciate y'all.